I am continuing my mad dash through this review of certain problems. So let's go ahead. I'm still on page 4, and I'm looking at this function here, and I want to write the equation of this function that's being graphed. So what I have to remember is my transformation function is y is equal to a, because this is a v, it's absolute value, plus k. So the first thing I have to find is my h and my k. So I'm looking for my h and my k. So my h and my k is my vertex. It's a special xy. My vertex is right here. So I'm going to write down what that value is. It looks like it's negative 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's negative 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it looks like it's negative 4, 7. So this is my h, k. So that means y is equal to a absolute value of x minus, well, what's my h? Minus 4, and then my k is a 7. So be careful, because this minus 4 is not the same minus as what's in the problem. So I'll clean that up in a minute. Let's find our a. So I'm thinking of a as the slope of the right side. Okay? So I'm going to go from this point to this point. Well, how do I do it? So it looks like I'm going to go down 1. That's down. So it looks like I'm going down 1, and I'm going right, let me write this down. Down 1 divided by right 1, 2, 3. So down is negative, right is positive. So that's what A is. A is how do I get from this point to this point? So this means my equation is y is equal to negative 1/3 absolute value of x minus minus gives me a plus, and then I have a plus 7. So that's how I figure out the equation of this function. So on this one down here, it didn't give me a graph, but it's telling me what all of the transformations are. So the first thing I need to realize is it gives me my parent function. Every function has its own parent function. So I have to recognize that this is absolute value. Okay? So the absolute value of x is the parent function of this new function. So my new function, transform function, is going to be g of x. This is also going to be absolute value because my parent is absolute value. So it's saying, it's giving me a compression of 1/2. So my compression is my a, so I'm going to put a as 1/2. It's giving me a horizontal shift of 3 units to the right. So my horizontal is a, so 3 units to the right would be positive, and a vertical shift of 1 down. So a vertical shift is my k, 1 down would be negative 1. It didn't tell me a reflection over x or anything, so I have what I need. So I have to remember that y is equal to a absolute value x minus h plus k. So now it's just a matter of plugging it in. I have to remember that the new function is g of x, so instead of y, I'm going to write g of x because that means the same thing. And then my a is 1/2 absolute value x minus, what is h? H is just 3. And then I have a plus negative 1, so it's the same as negative 1. So that means now that my g function with these transformations comes out to be that. Okay, moving on. Let's look on page 5. Page 5, problem B, on number 6. Graph each absolute value inequality in the coordinate plane, label the vertex. So when I'm looking here, I notice that it's absolute value, and it looks kind of like y equals a absolute value of x minus h plus k. It has the same form. So I know my a is negative, if there's no number there, it's -1. I know my h is 3, and I know my k is 2. So just notice h follows that minus, the 3 follows the minus, so I know that they're exactly that. They're in the same position. So this gives me my vertex. So my vertex is at 3, 2. So I'm going to go to 3, 1, 2, 3, up 2, 1, 2. So that's my vertex right there. I know that my slope, which is a, is -1 on the right side. I'm going to use m for slope on the right. This gets more complicated when we do other problems that are not absolute value functions. So this means I'm going to go, another way of looking at -1 is the same as -1 divided by 1, or I could think of it as 1 divided by -1. So this means that I want to go, since I know it's reflected, it's going upside down, I'm going to go down 1, right 1. So down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, and I'm just going to keep going like this, and then this is going to be the mirror image because I have a slope of -1. So in this case, I just put little dots, but really they're going to be dashed lines. Oh, no, they're not. I have an equal sign. If the equal sign wasn't there, it'd be dashed. So I'm going to fill it in because it's everything between those points as well. So now this is saying y is greater. So this is my trick. I go to my y-intercept right there, and I look at my y-axis only. I put my pen on my y-intercept and I say, where does y get bigger? Well, y gets bigger as I go up my y-axis. So that means then that I know that everything here gets shaded. Everything on the top side gets shaded. So any point value in here is a possible answer. I have one more video. I'll go over number 7 just because this is so involved. I'll make it the third and last video of the review.